Welcome to Creative Cat Productions, the best kind of CCP. We saw this on YouTube. James Rolfe, aka the Angry Videogame Nerd, did a 40-minute long interview with the Gaming History Club, a channel that at the time of my viewing had like 150 subscribers. 150? I thought James Rolfe never had time for anything. Yet he has time for a 40-minute interview with a channel that literally almost no one watches? Does he like owe money or something? This is worse than the time he sat there for 40 minutes listening to Scott the Woz talk about why he uses a Mac.
I just wanted to talk about you still use a Mac, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm also on the Mac train. It's hard to find people. It's hard to find people like us online.
Absolutely riveting. To be honest, the Gaming History channel did a great job here. Take notes, Scott. And I think they got the best interview out of James Rolfe that I've ever seen. They asked great questions, they listened more than they talked, and they seemed to actually understand and value the guy as a creator. Hopefully this interview will blow them up, get them some advertising money, so they can afford to buy themselves some freaking chairs. Or at least a taller table. Guys, it's okay to bring your toys to work as some kind of decoration or whatever, but we don't ever need to know what brand of jeans you're wearing. So of course they had to ask about the origins of the Angry Videogame Nerd and James's creative process. It's natural to want to talk about these sorts of things. It's natural to take a shit on the grass. But what's baffling to me isn't so much what James says in the interview, but what he leaves out. Indeed, it's a thing that's baffled me for a very long time. Why doesn't James Rolfe give more credit to his collaborators, especially his friend Mike Matei, or even Kyle Justin, the guy who wrote the iconic Angry Videogame Nerd theme song? He treats that poor bastard like he's dead. Wait, is he? Recently, I saw another informative video called Mike Matei AVGN Help Compilation by a YouTuber called Makihara. In this video, Makihara has edited together over an hour of excerpts taken from Mike Matei's live streams, where he discusses the role he played in making the Angry Videogame Nerd.
Well, thanks. I mean, James really is the one who makes AVGN. I've helped him over the years.
But to be sure, despite always being described as a helper Mike Matei's contributions are far from trivial. Indeed, it's arguable that without helper Mike Matei's involvement, the Angry Videogame Nerd would have never even existed in the first place. Who is Mike Matei? Mike Matei is a longtime friend and collaborator with James Rolfe. The two met in college while attending the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and they started making comical films together prior to the existence of YouTube. Screw Attack, or the Angry Videogame Nerd character. We're talking the early 2000s America. Post 9/11, during the height of the popularity of stuff like South Park, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and the glory days of the internet, when everything looked like this.
Guys, you do know that there's no actual Candy Mountain, right?
Sean the non-believer! Sean!
Yeah.
In 2002, Mike Matei directed a short film starring James Rolfe called Mario, the Unauthorized Biography. This video has pretty much all of the key elements that would eventually make the Angry Videogame Nerd popular.
Oh, I'm a struggling game designer, please give me a few more days to get my rent in. Freaking bastard.
It's a comical historical retrospective about the Super Mario Brothers, featuring James Rolfe getting drunk and swearing up a storm. It's basically an AVGN video in everything but name, and it was created chiefly by Mike Matei. In college, James and Mike bonded over their love of old video games, and when James created his first Angry Nerd video, it was part of a VHS tape that he made to be shared amongst his friends, especially Mike Matei. Thus, the first AVGN video was really just an elaborate inside joke about shared frustrations. And when James decided to do a sequel about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it was Mike Matei who supplied the game, because as it turns out, almost all of the retro games played by James over the years either belonged to or were acquired by Mike Matei.
Because, I'm a gamer.
And after James Rolfe finished a third video about the Karate Kid, it was Mike Matei who pushed for him to create more. Indeed, the fourth video about Who Framed Roger Rabbit was the first AVGN video Mike Matei truly helped with, arranging the nerd's room to be more in character. It was also at this point in time that Mike Matei took it upon himself to post the original Angry Nerd videos on YouTube.
James Nintendo Nerd. It's a channel that I made back in 2006 for all the videos that we do on Cinemassacre. That includes videos that I do, that James does. James is my sort of partner in crime, partner in video making and filmmaking. So I stick more on the gaming video side because, you know, I'm a gamer.
And so it was in fact Mike Matei who started, and technically owned, the original Angry Video Game Nerd channel, which was initially just called James Nintendo Nerd. By 2006, with the fifth video about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mike Matei was co-creating alongside James Rolfe, including videos that James would upload on his personal website, Cinemassacre, the name for James Rolfe's nascent video production company and a reference to his quick and homemade production style. One such video uploaded during this time was The Wizard of Oz 3, Dorothy Goes to Hell, a grotesque film that leans heavily upon both Mike Matei's cartoons and his surprising natural talent as a comedic character actor. In fact, Mike Matei would eventually join James Rolfe in front of the camera by portraying nearly all of the series' most iconic antagonists, including the Cowardly Lion, Jason Voorhees, the Joker, and of course, Bugs Bunny. Mike helped play and review many of the games for the series.
Doing so good, I have a checkpoint. Give me a checkpoint, give me a checkpoint.
He captured video footage, and he wrote many of the scripts, including popular episodes such as Daydreaming Davy.
Mediocre, that's what it is.
Mike, never one to shy away from controversy, came up with a lot of the most crass and disturbing humor, pushing the character, at times, uncomfortably close to the edge of true obscenity, which is, of course, one of the main reasons the web series was so popular in the first place. Mike Matei produced all of the show's original and iconic title cards. He wrote the famous Chronologically Confused video about Zelda. He edited the Godzilla-thon for Monster Madness. And of course, most importantly of all, he created Shit Pickle.
Yeah.
Now take all of these things together and try and imagine the Angry Video Game Nerd without any of them. And tell me, how much is left? The truth is, if not for his humility and loyalty to his friend, Mike Matei would have a very good case for meriting the title of co-creator of the Angry Video Game Nerd. And that's personally how I see him. Despite the fact that James never calls him anything more than a helper, and Mike himself refuses to take any further credit, I think that even if only half of what Mike Matei revealed about the Angry Video Game Nerd during his live streams was true, that the guy would still merit far more credit than what he receives. Just the fact that he was the creator of Mario, the unauthorized biography, the template for all future AVGN videos, as well as being the guy who actually put the videos up on a public platform like YouTube in the first place, is sufficient to grant Mike the title co-creator. That's what you are, dude! You are the other Angry Video Game Nerd. There's not one, but two of you. And the series wouldn't have been the same without both of you working together. And in fact, when neither of you guys were behind the camera, and one of you was only halfway in front of it, well, it completely sucked. And the same thing goes for Kyle Justin, the guy who wrote the theme song. Without that theme song, the Angry Video Game Nerd wouldn't have been quite as memorable or iconic. All these elements were necessary together. Cinemassacre and the Angry Video Game Nerd flourished because it was an incredible group effort, a bunch of dudes that met at some shitty art school in Philadelphia, the one that was permanently closed in June of 2024. Hey, at least something came out of that place, other than Rob Schneider's daughter. What a legacy. So what's going on? Is James Rolfe some kind of glory hog? Is he ungrateful? Ungenerous? Does he not want to give back the same way that he's received over the years? Hardly. By all accounts, James Rolfe is a very good and generous man. I mean, who else would be willing to do a 40-minute interview with a podcast that has fewer subscribers than a middle school kid's Roblox channel? So what's really going on here? Well, in this same interview with the Gaming History Club, which apparently only has 2 members by the way, James makes a comment very similar to a comment he's made many times before in the past, and it's a comment that sheds light on this issue. When James Rolfe describes why back in 2004 he made the original Angry Videogame Nerd video about Simon's Quest, he says the following.
The idea of filming something all by myself, that's pretty typical of me.
You motherfucker!
From watching his content, seeing these interviews, and reading his book, A Movie Making Nerd, one can discern the following 2 things that have critical importance to James Rolfe as a creator. One is the concept of the auteur, and the other is the satisfaction of the filmmaking process itself, especially as it pertains to problem solving. James Rolfe has mentioned a lot of film directors that he admires over the years, but one he seems to have a special fondness for is Alfred Hitchcock. And Alfred Hitchcock is famous for being one of cinema's all-time great auteurs. That is, a filmmaker whose influence over a film is supposedly so great that the film is regarded fundamentally as the intellectual or creative product of that one person. Sometimes an auteur is a guy who produces, directs, and writes all his own movies, indeed sometimes even acts in it. And if you know anything about Cinemassacre or James Rolfe's unique history with filmmaking, which stems from a childhood obsession with making homemade movies, then you know that he too has a strong predilection for controlling the process at every single level, including making himself the star of virtually every single production. From his biography, you get the sense that this was a practical consideration, since it's hard to conscript people to work on a movie, which can be a very tedious process. But it's also true that making yourself the creative force behind every aspect of movie making guarantees both absolute credit for the final product and total control over all the difficult decisions of the movie making process. And process is another thing James Rolfe seems to be absolutely fascinated with. Evidence of this is again in the autobiography, but beyond that are all of these behind the scenes videos that he's been producing over the years, even recently.
I do love that we're like redeeming gremlins, three-dimensional creatures with lives and families and,
I know.
You know, and like mischievous, like not murderous.
We never caused any plane crashes.
Indeed, the name of his production company, Cinemassacre, is itself actually a reference to James's preferred filmmaking process, which is fast, off the cuff, and homemade. Rather than meticulously plan out every detail or arrange and plan a bunch of different shots, James prefers to cobble his movies together in a haphazard sort of way, kind of like MacGyver in a race to defuse a bomb. The result is, as the name says, a cinemassacre. The final product then isn't really the point for James, as much as the creativity behind how we got there. Examples of this can be found all over the place, but the 2 that stick out for me are the following. First, in his book, James Rolfe goes into great depth about the production of the Angry Videogame Nerd movie, which he had a surprising amount of creative distance from, since he refrained from actually directing his own film. His description of making this movie sounds like it was hell for him, up to a certain point, after which the movie ran out of both time and money, and then James had to cobble together the final movie mostly by himself over a period of months. It was a cinemassacre, and it was here that James reports that he actually got the most personal satisfaction from working on the film. Second is a much lampooned behind-the-scenes video from 2021, in which James Rolfe reveals his personal setup for making his most recent AVGN videos. In the video, James reveals how tight, jerry-rigged, and impractical his working conditions are. He's got all this shit coming out of the ceiling and all this old-ass, barely functional equipment sticking out all over the place. It's crazy. And tons of professional AVGN critics on the internet have made fun of him for it.
Yeah, it's so baffling.
I mean, even like we're not successful.
We get it. This setup is unprofessional and impractical. But what I don't think people realize is that making something this impractical work is in its essence the real point. This is what Cinemassacre is all about. It's all about making something out of nothing. It's about taking a clustered mess of undesirable crap and duct taping it all together into something completely new, regardless of whether or not the final product impresses you, or me, or anyone else. It's about the process, and it's this process that motivated James Rolfe from the very beginning. When these considerations are taken together, I think you can probably start to see why a good guy like James doesn't share credit with his friends, even when credit's obviously due. First, James doesn't really consider collaborators as co-creators as much as he sees them as a means to an end. Second, James doesn't really care about the final product as much as the process of getting there, which probably explains why he still seems to love his infamous AVGN movie when everyone else seemed to hate it.
I really did not like the movie. In fact, I found it to be insultingly bad because I know that the Angry Videogame Nerd, he also does movie stuff, right? And I've heard him talk about movie stuff, and I find his talking about movies to be generally competent. So I was so disappointed by that movie. It was just really bad. It's a really bad movie. It shocks me that it was ever made.
It's because for James, the excitement behind making that movie was derived not from the final product, which sucks, something awful, but rather from the process of getting there. To put it another way, that the internet's more likely to understand, for James Rolfe, it really was all about the friends that he made along the way. Just listen to what he has to say about his favorite memories of making videos.
I think my favorite ones to work on, like maybe not necessarily my favorite episodes, but like the ones I think I remember having the most fun on, were usually the ones where it's not just me by myself. It's me with friends, and we're all filming something. Like usually ones with like guest characters in it. I think the Crazy Castle episode was really fun because we did the pies in the face and all the fake rabbit crap and everything that was in that episode. It was me, my friend Mike, and my friend Liam filming all those fight scenes and just making a mess of the room.
And then accidentally like punched James right in the fucking face.
Oh! Sorry.
Like he fell like right on the ground, and like I think he blacked out for a minute, and I felt really bad. Like I didn't mean to hit him.
Maybe it wasn't as fun as I remember. Maybe it was actually more of a pain, but you kind of forget about that a little. Now I just look back, I'm like, oh, that was a really fun time.
While he seems totally oblivious to the fact that these collaborations are what produced the best videos he ever made, he truly enjoyed these experiences for what they were. And he ultimately doesn't even care or even seem to know which of his videos are even supposedly the good ones or not. He's looking at his creative output in a completely different way, and this is why none of us understand him. The same goes with his music career. If it were about the music itself as a product, then surely James Rolfe might be embarrassed. But he's not. He doesn't give a shit, because look at him. It's about the experience. It was about having fun.
You want to see some more of these? Yeah. Hopefully next year we get to do some more shows like this. This was great. This was a dream come true. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us. And yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure his collaborators would have felt the same way. I think there are a few times that Cinemassacre and James Rolfe's many collaborators were on the cusp of true greatness. But without a shared vision or goal in mind, there was no way for them to realize that greatness. And it was just a matter of time that all these other creatives were going to have to move on and fade into the background. Does this suck? Oh, it most certainly does. But at least everyone had a good time, right? So what do you all think of Mike Matei and the Angry Videogame Nerd? Have you ever wondered what in the hell happened to all these people that helped make that web series so popular? Whatever happened to Bootsy? And who in the hell is this guy all of a sudden? Please let us know what you think and more in the comments. And thank you very much for watching Creative Cat Productions. Bye bye now.